Okay, guys, so I'm going to walk you through your essay assignment really quickly. Your essay assignment is fairly self-explanatory. It's also very creative. I think it's the most creative that you've done so far. So you guys have read 19 different poems in this unit, and they're from all different authors, eras, styles. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of other poems in your book that we didn't get to, simply from a lack of time. So what you're going to do is I want you to choose one poem from the works that I gave you, and then you're going to connect, so essentially compare and contrast, that poem to an unexpected or unusual second work. So the second work, it can be any of these choices. It can be any other poem from the unit that you read, so it can be one of the other poems from the unit. It can be another poem from the textbook that we did not read. So there are literally hundreds and hundreds, like I said, of poems in your books. I think there's about 500 pages of poetry in the poetry section. So just look in your index or in your table of contents. If there's an author that you know that you love, say you love Elizabeth Barrett Browning or Dickinson or there's so many different poets that you could choose from. Then choose one of those and then compare it to one of the works from the unit. Or you can look at an outside piece of an unusual origin. So could be a song or a spoken word piece or something like that. So I had you read Dylan. I had you read the piece from Jonathan Reed, the biblical verse. Any of these types of ideas would work. So if you choose to connect two poems from the unit, then I want you to make sure that you choose works which don't seem to at first connect. So try to choose works from different, say, authors or eras. Obviously authors, but different eras or different foci. Just be very creative about where you can make those connections. You are required to use at least one scholarly source and one outside source of your choosing. Make sure that outside source is credible. And then your essay is due on Sunday, April 12th at midnight. It's got to be 2.5 to 4 pages. So I didn't make it 3 pages because it's a 15% of your grade, but I want it to be at least 2.5 pages. Standard MLA format. Of course, you're more than welcome to write more than 4 pages if you go over. Just it must be at least 2.5. Remember, of course, that we're going to use Safe Assign as always. So I've given you a complete list of the works from this unit right here. As you can see, there's a lot of different eras, authors, voices, all sorts of things you could choose from. The one that is far underrepresented, simply because we didn't have time, is female voices. So if you're interested in that, there's a number of voices or of poets I can give you a reference list. Authors like Dickinson and Browning and Mary Shelley, just all kinds of really amazing female authors. So the choice here of topic and work is yours, so again, choose carefully. You're going to have to discuss it and analyze it in depth, so use the Poetic Elements document, the different things I gave you at the beginning of week 10 to help you out. You're also going to need to use lots of evidence from the text, so make sure that you choose that carefully and choose the sources that you use carefully. On the scholarly source, if there's not a scholarly source, say, about the exact work that you're using, then you could do something like just a scholarly source about the author or the era or something like that. So here's just a few ideas to get you started. You could connect things that are seemingly disparate. So like Shakespeare's Sonnet 130, you could connect that to Song of Solomon, where they both have a subject matter of what the traditional sonnet sort of looks at as far as comparing the woman to beautiful and all of the tropes that it includes. But Sonnet 130 flips it on its head, whereas Song of Solomon is sort of the traditional view. You could connect something like Piano and Weary Blues by Langston Hughes. So Piano, both are focused on music and the sort of the comfort of music and how music is a respite from everyday reality. But they're very different. This one is focusing on the remembrances of childhood, whereas this one is sort of trying to escape life in Harlem, difficult life in Harlem, in the 40s, and how the blues is a way of saving oneself through that. You could connect The Lost Generation, the reverse poem, and We Were Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks. Both talk about youth, the youth culture, sort of wasting youth, but this one does something very different than We Were Cool does when you reverse it. You could also do something like The Flea, say, to Harlem Dream Deferred. Both of these talk about what happens when you have this sort of goal or this dream, and it's literally crushed or killed, or as he says, dried up like a raisin in the sun. Even though this one is about a very different subject matter than this one, you could make some really cool connections between them. The last suggestion I gave you here, just these are the ones that are off the top of my head. You could do something like The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams to I Hear America Singing by Walt Whitman. Both of them focus on Americana, national identity, the everyday man. They even have similar sort of subject matter. He talks about the average, farmer and seamstress and mason, whereas this one is talking about the struggles of making a farm work and feeding your family, and how much all this depends on fate and things like that. So you're going to be assessed on the criteria of having a fully developed argumentative thesis statement. So your thesis statement will say, I'm comparing the and this is how they're similar, this is how they're different, and that'll be your main ideas. You're going to do careful, close analysis of the poems and their major concepts, using ample concrete evidence to support your claims. So make sure that's from both the poems and the secondary research sources. Proper page length, of course, MLA, etc., etc. Make sure that you have a clean, organized structure, clear main ideas, clear intro, clear conclusion, and then lastly that your organization overall is carefully structured and put together. So that is your essay assignment. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I really hope you guys will have some fun with this. Like I said, the thing I want you to do, be very creative on this one. Really try to make some interesting and unique connections that no one else is going to think of.